Okay, this assignment is going to teach you the basics of Excel. Just kind of where everything's at and all that stuff. So open up Excel. If it did not give you a blank document like the one you see, go to File up at the very top and go New from Template. And then just choose like the Excel workbook. And then do choose. Okay, so this is a column, this is a row. This is your formula bar, and then each one of these is known as a cell. So this cell is cell I3. This cell is E11. You can also tell that from right here because it says it as I move my thing, J15, but it also says it right here. Okay, so we're just going to create a simple spreadsheet today that creates a couple different formats. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to create a title. So I'm just going to click on A1 and holding down my mouse, I'm going to drag across to highlight. Okay, don't click because that won't highlight. You got to click once, drag your mouse, and then when you get to H, let go. And then on the Home tab, go to Merge. What that does is that creates one big cell instead of individual cells. Then I'm going to write Class Grades. Once you write Class Grades, I'm going to increase the size. I did 36, and then I'm going to bold it. Okay. Then in A2, I'm going to write Math 9 because it's 9th grade math, and it's period 2. And then I'm going to highlight both of them and bold them. Okay, A4, student number, name, and I'm just going across. So C4, okay, now if you notice, assignment number 1 is being cut off. So I can either do two things. If you put your cursor in between like the column, so between A, B, B, C, or C, D, you get that little double arrow with like a plus symbol with double arrows. Once you get that, if I take it off, you see I don't have the arrows anymore. You must have the arrows. And then if I double click, it's going to automatically increase the size of the cell or decrease the size of the cell to fit what I want. But what I'm also going to do is you can also wrap the text. So if you didn't want to increase the size of the cell, I could click wrap text and it'll take it to the next line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap the text. And then if you wrap the text and nothing happens, you can come over here and just increase the size too. Wrap the text. We're going to skip I and go to J4. And I'm going to wrap the text if you didn't already do that. And then I'm going to actually center these. These are everywhere. So this is going to center it horizontally, and this is going to center it vertically. Okay. And then in B5, I'm going to write total points possible. Going to wrap that. I'm going to do 100. This assignment was worth 150, 50, 200, 500. And I'm actually going to leave this one blank for now. I'm going to highlight 1 through 500, so C5 through G5, center it horizontally and vertically. You know what, we'll go ahead and center this one horizontally and vertically too. Okay, now I'm going to do some student numbers, so I'm going to do 1034, 1089, We're going to write some names. And then we're going to do their grades. Then I'm going to take all the numbers, so 98 through 357, center it horizontally and vertically. The numbers I'm going to center horizontally and vertically, so the student numbers. And then the students' names, I'm actually going to center it vertically, but left align it horizontally. So the middle one on top, the left one on the bottom. Now, this is a percentage. So what I can do, one of the greatest things about Excel is you can format cells to write it a certain way. So if I wanted to write, 100%, 98%, okay, well, I can do that, but a faster way, especially if you're going to be writing 100 cells, we only have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 cells, so writing a percent sign isn't a big deal. But if you were doing a lot of numbers, then it would be a pain in the butt. So we're going to format these cells to automatically put the percent sign. So I'm going to highlight where I want the cells that I want a percent sign to be in. So I want that to actually be H5 through H11. And once again, I'm just clicking, holding down my mouse, dragging. When I get to H11, I let go. And then there's two ways. You can come up here on the home tab where it says number and choose percentage, or you can right click and go format cells, and it opens up the format cells dialog box. We want a percent, and how many decimal places do we want? We don't want any, because I hardly ever see decimal places with percent, so I'm going to take that to 0 and then click OK. So then when I put 100, it automatically puts the percent sign. So all I have to do is type 98 and it puts the percent. 77, 84, 88, 74, 71. Then I'm going to center those. And you can tell here it says general and then it changes to percent. The same thing with this one, except for this one is going to be money. So I'm going to format it to be $1. So I'm going to right click and format cell. And I highlighted J5 through J11. So you can see which ones are dark over here. I'm going to do currency, 2 decimal places. I do want the dollar symbol. And I'm just going to choose this one, the very top one. And then all I should have to do is put $20, and it puts the 2 decimal places and the dollar symbol. 5, 6. I do have to put 6.5 on this one, but it automatically changes it to 650, 9, 20, 15, 25, and then 20. So it's just an easier way of formatting stuff, and then I'm going to center it horizontally and vertically. I actually don't want this big of a gap. So I'm going to come in here, put my cursor in between I and J, and just shrink it down a little bit to about 2 inches, or 0.24. You can also right click and go column width and do 0.24. Okay, next I'm going to do due date. This is going to be the assignment due date, and I'm actually going to do the top one. So I'm going to center it vertically, but I'm going to right align it this time. And then these are going to be dates. So assignment 1, 2, 3, and the final exam are going to be formatted for dates. So I'm going to highlight them, right click, format the cell, and this time it's going to be a date. And then you'd put, how do you want it to be formatted? We just want it to be formatted in, I like this one, so the 03-14-01, and then click OK. and then type your date. So 3, 3, nope. So you don't have to put the actual zeros on. So I'm just going to put 0/30, 15, 4, 6, 15 is going to automatically add the zeros. 4, 10, 15 is going to automatically add the zeros. And then I'll center it horizontally and vertically. This is all really small, so I'm actually going to just highlight everything, and make it size 14. And you might have to go in here and increase some of the cell size. That looks good. Oh, I think I'm going to click in between the B and the C. I think that's perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to put class average, make that a 14, wrap it, center it vertically, and right align it. And then this is actually going to be a percentage as well. I should have done this earlier. Percent, 0 decimal places, okay. And 88% is the class average. Center it vertically and horizontally. Okay, now I'm going to bold a couple stuff. So I'm going to bold all of my titles. So student number through money trip, highlight it, bold it. I'm going to bold total points and then all of the different points that I could possibly get. I'm going to bold class average and 88%. I'm going to bold due date. Okay, so now we're going to make this now we have the basic information, but now we're going to make it a little bit more easily readable. So I'm going to highlight student number through percentage, so A4 through H4. And on the Home tab, I'm going to click this little paint bucket and choose a color. If you choose a really dark color like that, change the font to white so that it's easier to read. If you do a really light color, say yellow, then make sure you keep it black. Okay. I'm just going to go with that. Make it white. Okay, and then highlight the bottom row right underneath that and make it just a little bit lighter color. I'm going to put the same color in this one. And then on my due date, I'm actually just going to make it a light gray color, something like that. And then the money for the field trip, I'm going to just make it red with white. I like that better. Okay, now in order to make this a little bit more readable, we're still going to do a couple more things. So I'm going to click on class grades, and I'm going to add, if I go over here to format on the Home tab, I'm going to, actually I don't want to do any of that. I'm actually going to add it myself. I'm going to go to the Home tab and I'm going to add a border, like a bottom line border. So if you don't see this, so you're looking for the borders and shadings button. If you don't see it, it could be because your screen is too short. Like if I shorten it, see it disappears. So if you don't see it, increase the size of your screen and it should pop up. So select class grades and then go border options. And we want to do a thick bottom border. So do like this little thick one right here. And we want it on the bottom. And then choose a color. I'm just going to choose the same color of this blue right here. And then push OK. I actually think that made it black. You might have to there we go. You might have to re-click it again for it to take effect. Okay, so now it matches. I'm going to do another one right here. So underneath, because this is technically my title, so I kind of want to separate it. So I'm going to highlight A5 through H5, and I'm going to go border options and do the same thing. I'm just going to keep the same little thick line, hit the bottom, and then click OK. So now we kind of have that separation. And then, oh, and we can't forget to do this one over here. I forgot to do that one. The thick bottom, and then click OK. Perfect. I actually should have done something else first, but it's okay. We might actually have to redo this. I'm going to help separate this a little bit more too. So I'm going to highlight 1034 through 71%. So A6 through H11. I'm going to come over here and just do all borders. That's going to put a little line in between each one to make it a little bit more readable. I'm going to highlight the due dates and do the same thing. Class average, all borders. I'm going to have to redo this, so I might as well just cover it up. Highlight $20 through $20, all borders. And you might as well just do the title as well to get that separation in between. Money for trip, don't forget to do that. So basically everything gets a border from here to here. So from A4 to H11 gets a border. Due date through 410 gets a border. Class average through 88 gets a border. I actually think that's a size 14. I'm going to increase that. And then all of this gets a border. Now, if you notice that once we did it, we kind of did it out of order. We should have bordered it first and then did the underline, because when I did that, it got rid of my thick underline. So we just kind of have to redo it. I'm going to highlight the A5 through H5, and then I'm going to hold down Command and click on $20 because I don't want to highlight this row right here. So I'm going to hold down 20, hold down Command, and then highlight. Or you can do it in two separate ones. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to go back to border options, click that, click my color, and choose the bottom, and click OK. So now it's back, but I've kept my other ones. The last thing we have to do is called conditional formatting. So we could stop here, and it looks perfectly fine. If you were to go to print it, it would look like this, nice and neat. So the last thing we're going to do is conditional formatting. So basically what this means is you're allowed to it'll highlight certain things based on rules that you create. So I'm going to highlight 98 through 135, all of the students' grades. So C6 through F11. And then I'm going to go to the Home tab and come over here to conditional formatting. And we have different rules. So we're going to highlight we're gonna shade all of the failing assignments. Okay, so we're gonna do the highlight cell rules, and we're gonna do less than, because we actually want everything that's under passing to be highlighted. But the problem is we have different grades here. So in order to do the math, and I'll do the math for you. So obviously if you have 100, 70 or below is passing. So if we do it right, it should highlight 60 and 40. Passing, so 70% of 150, you would go 150 times 0.70. And so anything over 105 would be considered failing. The same thing with 50. If you go 50 times 0.70, whoops, 50 times 0.70, anything under 35 points would be considered failing. So the 25 here would be failing. So we're going to actually have to do one column at a time since we have different grades. So I'm going to highlight the 98 through the 85, additional formatting, highlight cell rules, less than. Okay, we want to format only cells that contain cell values less than. Well, if 70 was passing, so 70 is passing, so we actually need anything under 69 because 70 is considered passing. And then this is kind of like what it's going to highlight it with. You can highlight it in yellow or red or whatever. We're just going to keep the light red and then click OK. And like I said, if we did it right, which we did, it should highlight 60 and 40 because those were our two failing grades. So I'm going to do the same thing for assignment number 2. I'm going to highlight 145 through 90, conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, less than, and cell values less than. Passing was 105, so 105 is considered 70%, so we're going to do 104 and click OK. And then highlight 50 through 47, conditional formatting, highlight less than. Passing was considered 35, so it's going to be anything less than 34. And then highlight 198 through 195, conditional formatting, highlight less than. Passing is considered 140 points, so we need to do 139. Click OK. And now we have highlighted every cell that's considered failing. Actually, not quite. It should have highlighted this 139. Let me do it again. Oh, I know what we did wrong. Okay, so we should have said anything. Okay, so technically we should have put 140 because it's less than 140. So then if we would have put 139 like we did here, it's less than, like originally we would put 139, so it'd be 138 and below. So we should have put 140, and we should have done the rest. We should have done this. We should have put 35 here. We should have put 105 here. We should have put 70. That was my fault. But the only one it messed up on was this one, so we're good. Okay, so I'm actually going to bold one last thing. I'm going to, since these are totals, this is the total amount earned, I'm going to highlight those and bold them. So this is what your table should look like, nice and easy. And the only thing you messed with was the cell width, conditional formatting, the number, and all of your basic like font text on the thing. So save this, turn it into Google Classroom, and then you're going to go to Google Classroom. You're going to open up this, and you are going to duplicate this using Excel. Okay, the names are bolded. These are just thick lines, and then this is the conditional formatting that's going to be here. Okay, thank you.